Somebody has to do the heavy bouncing, right, Tigger? Oh, positively there, Pooh boy. Just stand back and let me do my thing.
And together we will stay.
Christopher.
We can all both do whoop-de-dooper, loop-de-looper, alley-ooper bounce.
Welcome to Lightweights Podcast. My name's Joe. Today's guest, Jim Cummings.
You will hear my buddy Red gonna take you down. We're gonna take you down. We're gonna take you all the way down.
We're gonna take you down. We're gonna take you down. We're gonna take you all the way down. We're gonna take you down. We're gonna take you down. We're gonna take you all the way.
The voice of our childhood, Jim has voiced many iconic characters from the Disney Universe, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network.
Remember, dog, follow my lead. When I say cat diggity dog, you say cat diggity. Okay!
He does Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
I think it goes something like this. And Tigger, don't be ridiculous. Tiggers are wonderful things.
Tasmanian Devil from Looney Tunes.
The anti-Pooh.
Darkwing Duck.
He is the terror that flaps in the night. He is the eraser that rubs out the typos of crime.
And of all the incredible things he's done, Jim is the sweetest, kindest, most awesome dude. I want to know where you know Jim from, so leave a comment down below, give this video a like, and make sure to hit the subscribe button because I have some incredible voice actors coming up. So without further ado, Jim Cummings. Are you the voice of the movie trailers?
I have been. I haven't been doing any lately, but I have been many times. Coming to a theater near you, Robert De Niro is Mother Goose. Or, you know, whoever, one of those guys.
This Halloween, treat yourself to the ghastliest collection of characters ever created in haunting and hilarious hits.
How come they phase those out?
That's a good question. I don't know, and it pisses me off because I enjoyed the work. I don't know. I think they they often let some of the scenes in the movie sell it.
Right.
You know, they'll chunk it up and put little bits here, and you'll see, you know, Christopher Walken or whoever, Chris Pratt, or somebody named Chris, you know, doing a very intense look and ba-ba-boom, and, you know, and then Ryan Reynolds comes in and eats their lunch.
Takes his shirt off.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah,
Sales.
he wins.
Because you did Space Jam, Mortal Kombat, Rugrats movie.
Yeah, probably, I think. Was that me? Yeah, no, I've done a lot of movies. Anastasia. Gosh, I have to think of my wall. Well, obviously Lion King. That one did rather well. And I was Hook. I was in Hook, and I've gotten a lot of people on that one because how many movies have you sung in? Have I sung in? Blah blah blah. And they were, well, it was this one, it was this, blah, blah, blah. And nobody remembers Hook, Hook, Hook. Give us the hook. Show us the hook. We want the hook. Hook, hook. Give us the hook. We want the hook. And it was just this evil chant. And then Glenn Close comes out dressed in pirate drag and gets the crap knocked out of her. And it was like, okay, that was cool. You know, she was in pirate drag.
Yeah.
She was a guy.
I have to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in so long. How do songs work for you as a voice actor? Are you hired on as a vocalist, like as a day talent type of thing?
I have been, yeah. Well, you know, singing was my first thing. Singing, playing drums. You know, I've been doing that literally my whole life. And you know, and then in the, what was 80 something, I made my first demo tape and I focused on voices. And that worked out really well.
I'd say so.
So I'm a happy guy. But I always get a kick out of it when we're going to be doing a song. You know, the interest level for me goes up. And I remember, you know, it's interesting because I've got, you know, 4 daughters. And even when the first 2 were coming up, they're older now, whenever a song would come on, a cartoon, because they would like to watch the shows, even if I was in them, they would still watch them. But they would get, you know, and they'd get up and they'd march around the room, boop, do, 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 do. And so you could tell, you could literally see the interest level go up. So I'm a big fan of music in animation.
Do you still get royalties on those songs?
Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, we were just talking about, I mean, that's kind of why it was on my head, on my mind right now. We just kind of opened up some interesting envelopes. So, yeah, keep them coming in, folks.
Of royalties. How often do those come in for you?
I think it depends. Well, it does depend on how often, if there's been a renaissance for this movie or that movie, that one gets a lot of play. It's funny because movies and cartoons and things, they come in and out of style, and you'll get a little renaissance because of this, that, or the other thing. And, it just depends on what's shaking, what's in the movie theaters, if that tweaks something, and it seems like everything tweaks Winnie the Pooh, and I've sung a million songs as Pooh and Tigger. And somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do the heavy bouncing, right, Tigger? Oh, positively there, Pooh boy. Just stand back and let me do my thing. And yeah. I don't know why I did all that, but it's too late. I committed.
Can you take me back to your very first day of when you walked out, you finished Pooh, because you were taking over the role. Mm-hmm. Was he popular when you took it over?
Well, yes and no. I mean, he was popular because, he was out. It was interesting because he made a really big splash. But I was in the audience back then. It was in the 60s, I think 64, 65. And they did Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, Winnie the Pooh and A Day for Eeyore, and Winnie the Pooh. And they were each like 22 minutes long. Well, what they did was, because those are shorts, they're not full-length features, but they put all three of them together. Now you have something that's over an hour long. And they released that.
As a film.
Buy your ticket, go sit in the seat. And that did very, very well. And for some reason, they retired him for 20 plus years or something like that, which I'm very grateful. Thank you out there, whoever made that decision, because it gave me a chance to grow up and audition for Pooh and Tigger. So it was that's how that's literally how I got there. They said, well, they're bringing back Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and And I said, oh, okay. So I got an audition. And I just briefly, I thought I nailed Eeyore. I thought I just crushed Eeyore. Of course, Peter Cullen got it, and you can't complain about losing to Peter Cullen. But my agent says, well, I have bad news and good news. I said, what's the bad news? You're not Eeyore. And I go, oh, God, what's the good news? You're Pooh and Tigger. And I went, okay, that'll do. That's not bad. That's a good consolation prize. And here we are all these years later.
So when you go in for the audition, you auditioned for multiple characters then?
Yeah, I auditioned for, I think, Gopher. I didn't audition for Kanga. But not, I don't think I did for Rabbit. But Pooh, Tigger, obviously. And it worked out. And
are you able to give multiple takes of it for how they want it, how you think it could go, and maybe like a fun one?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's kind of my MO, my modus operandi. I always give them one as written, and then I give them one the way it should be. You know, because I'm notorious at ad-libbing. And sometimes they like it, sometimes they're not all that crazy about it. Would it kill you to say the line, you know, as written? Maybe just one as written. Okay. And so I do. Yeah. And it works out. Yeah.
Were you in there with a vocal director as well?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Ginny McSwain and Andrea Romano, some of the greats, you know. Gordon Hunt. He not all at the same time, but different different ones. It's great people.
How do you get the most out of your vocal session?
Well, I can tell you that you're sitting there, you're doing your thing, you're in there. There's the glass tube and glass booth in there, and you're looking in there, and there's always 7 or 8 people. It used to be, well, maybe not so much now, but it was interesting because you look up and you do a line, and for all they're sitting on there going, that's a good sign.
Yeah,
you know that, and then it's sitting there going, maybe do another take. So she really good at reading people, right?
So when you're in there with the vocal director, they're reading the script, kind of painting the scene, narrating it as you're going through it? Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. And of course you get it in advance. And a lot of times what I'll do is I jokingly say I don't want to leave the fight in the gym, which means I don't read it ahead of time. So that often the very first time I'm reading it, I'm recording it. And it stays fresh that way. And, you know, sometimes you'll miss a nuance here or there, but that's okay. Tape is cheap, or it used to be. Now it's digits are cheap. Digital, whatever that is cheap. So you just go back and you do it, and it comes out in the wash.
So it wasn't more pressure back then to get it on the first few takes?
No. Well, there was never really pressure. You know, it was, of course, you don't want to waste people's time. You don't want, you know, that's for sure. But no, you just go through, and I always joke around and I say instincts are the best stinks. And if something is instinctually hits you, and it seems like it'll contribute to the, you know, the thing. You have to remember, like with ad libs, is that it has to be ad libbed in character. It has to be something the character would say, and it also has to be contributing to the story, not a momentary distraction because, oh, I just thought of something really funny and now you're doing arm farts, you know, and you don't want to do that.
Right.
So, what's
the difference when you're voicing Winnie the Pooh for a show versus the movie?
Money. No, I'm kidding. Well, obviously, like for a movie, Christopher Robin is a good example. It was quite. I really enjoyed that one. You know, doing Pooh and doing Tigger, because it was a really profound story, and we got to know Christopher Robin, and because it was always, the focus was always on Pooh and Tigger and Eeyore and the gang, and it was very, very interesting, and it humanized him, instead of just being a foil or hello there Pooh, you know, and you got to see his journey and how he grew up, and it was just, you know, that was very different than any other Winnie the Pooh movie, because we've done any number of them. A lot of Christmas specials, Valentine's specials. I think we had an Ash Wednesday special. I don't know, but a lot of them, and it's just very, very rewarding, you know. And you see the people when they. You know, I'll do a convention and they'll say, will you do that line from Christopher Robin from this one or that one? And they just giggle and laugh. And that's from a 40-year-old woman, not even like a 10-year-old kid. It's, you know.
At these cons, who are the people coming up to you for Winnie the Pooh? Is it all ages?
Everybody, yeah. Yeah, everybody. Everybody that's old enough to watch TV or a movie. Yeah. You know, and you'll see these women come up, and they're cute as they could be, and you know, the husband will be there, and she'll be there with her red shirt on, and it says Pooh, and then she's got a yellow skirt on, and that's like Pooh's bottom, and then they have ears. You know, and the husband will go, she's really a big Winnie the Pooh fan. And I said, yes, she is, and don't you get in her way. She's my friend. Get over here. You know, and then we have a lot of fun, and it's really sweet because I'll always do the voice for them so many times, and they'll just burst into tears, and it's so sweet. And they'll go, you could just do it? And I go, I hope. I better be able to at this point. Oh, I thought you had to be in a studio and they had to do something. And I go, no, there's no Winnie the Pooh button. You know, you push, automatic Winnie the Pooh comes out.
What does that feel like for you to have that bearing of such an iconic character, one of the biggest things in the world for children?
Yeah, well, I think of it as an honor. It's an honor, and I never take it lightly. I never take it, you know, I don't take myself seriously, but I take what I do seriously, because, you know, you're kind of, I don't know, caretaker for the next generation, and you know, because there'll always be a story coming out of the 100-acre wood, almost guaranteed. You know, there's plenty going on there, and it's a, like I say, it truly is an honor. It's a blessing. You know, I'm getting the opportunity to carry forward a beautiful tradition that never hurt anyone, never stepped on anyone's toes, you know, and I'm just honored. I'm blessed. I'm very grateful to Disney and all my pals over there, and to you and to everyone.
Did you think it was going to go this long?
Well, I didn't know. No, you can't. You know, I was hired on and at the time it was the first Pooh project I was ever involved in was the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and I can hear the theme song in my head every time I say that. Gotta get up, gotta get going, gonna see a friend of mine, and it's kind of cool, you know. And music, I'm a big music guy, and that always cements it in too.
Right.
You know, it gives you something to hang your hat on, and it's even more memorable that way.
What kind of relationship do you have with the parks, Disney World, Disneyland? Do you do the voices for the theme parks?
Oh yeah, every time you hear Pooh, it's me, and every time you hear Tigger, it's me. And if you go to Disneyland or Disney World, you will hear my buddy Red gonna take you there. We're gonna take you there. We're gonna take you all the way down. And that's my good old buddy Cajun Firefly Ray, except no substitutes. And it's just wonderful. And in fact, the last time we went, they were saying that, well, we do have to tell you that there's going to be a new Princess and the Frog ride at Disneyland. And I go, oh, wow, that's great. Is Ray going to be? Oh yeah. He sings that song, Going Down the Bayou. And I said, oh, that's wonderful, you know. And of course, they just used the footage they had, and they go, but there is one glitch. And I said, okay, what the heck could it possibly be? And they go, well, we had to take down the Winnie the Pooh attraction to make room. And I went, so you're taking down one, but you're putting up another, and I'm in that one too? And
you replaced yourself.
Yes. And I said, so, yeah, that's what I said. So I'm kicking myself out and then replacing myself with myself. Yeah, that's about right. And I go, okay.
Yeah.
I can live with that, you know.
Did you ask for anything from that Pooh ride?
Yeah, I want a hat. No, I'm kidding. No, that's an interesting thing. They would have said no because it's like an artifact.
Oh, because I just picture
that would have been interesting. Yeah,
I just picture your house being endless memorabilia.
Okay, well that's true. Yeah, that's you're very astute.
Is it crazy there?
Yeah, no, but parts of it are. There's a few rooms that are pretty crazy, but the rest of it's just house.
Right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows.
Yes.
CATDOG.
Oh, sure.
I was obsessed with that.
Oh, good.
Such a good show.
Good.
How did you make this switch from Disney Pooh to Nickelodeon? Is that seamless? There's no contracts?
Yeah, there's no, it's not a problem. You know, I've worked for Hanna-Barbera, for Marvel, for Deke back in the old days. And yeah, it's because, you know, we're all basically freelance. You know, just like every actor, I mean.
Are they day player contracts?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Some, well, different ones. I mean, you're on for the series. So, you know, it's, but it all comes under the SAG-AFTRA umbrella.
Right.
You know, and you just sign away and show up and, you know, don't hit the mic and you're okay.
When you see that character, did you think something special was going to happen with it?
Well, you know, well, with Pooh, you mean? Well, like I said.
With CATDOG.
Oh, with CATDOG? Well, yeah, I was thinking, how the heck did they go to the bathroom? I do not want to be there when that's happening. In fact, that's one of my favorite jokes. CATDOG was at a playground, and the two of them, we go walking into a bathroom. In 2 seconds, some, you know, dog face, which is what we used to call them, would come out, and they'd go. One guy says to the other guy, he goes, so that's how they do it. Yeah. You know, so I don't want to picture it, but now I've soiled everyone out there watching this. Now they're all sitting there going, yeah, that would be weird.
What was working with Tom Kenny like?
Oh, he's a great guy. He's a good buddy of mine.
Did you guys ever share the mic?
Well, no, I mean, they have to keep it kind of pristine. But I mean, like you're Tom and I'm me. We're just right there. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a terribly complicated process, you know.
Right.
Have and Carlos Ellis Rocky was there, Maria Bamford, yeah, and Billy West was all over it too.
Yeah.
Great Billy West. He played Winslow and all sorts of. Oh God, it was just fun stuff.
Would you watch those shows when they came out just to see your performance?
I did, yeah.
Were you ever critical of yourself?
Oh, every time. Yeah, every time. You know, and I'll always and then I learned early on that you have to just let it go, because you'll drive yourself nuts. You know, oh God, you know what I should have done? Oh, why didn't I say blah 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 instead of blah blah and you know, and then you drive yourself nuts. So you got to let it go.
Because I imagine they take takes that you didn't think were good at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They'll use it. But it's like I say, I always give them one as written, and then I ad lib one or two things. Like I've got a character named Hondo Ohnaka, Star Wars, Clone Wars, and Rebels, and he is one of my all-time favorites of the world. I hope you guys like him too. And he's got the two biggest attractions at Disney World and Disneyland: Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Come on down. We'll steal the Millennium Falcon, and I'll take you for a ride. But he's one of my favorites. And speaking of, you know, you're saying ad lib and this and that. Well, Esquire was it Esquire? I don't think it was. What's the other one? Yeah, it might have been Esquire. But they had a 2-page spread, and it said the top 12 favorite quotes of Hondo Ohnaka, Star Wars Hondo Ohnaka, and I made up 10 of them. So I felt really good about that.
Just in the mic, you were ad-libbing yourself?
Yeah, just absolutely. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. And one of my favorites was when Hondo was a little tipsy, and they were challenging him to do a certain trick that was kind of risky to life and limb. And he said, well, you know, I may not be as young as I once was, but I'm older. You know, like that was a good thing. And it is. So, because I'm older. And so far, so good.
Did you record the Disneyland audio just for the rides?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's... and I've been on a lot of rides over there. You know, like I say, Pooh and Tigger.
What's a script look like for the theme parks?
Very similar. It's just little vignettes. Because when you're going through, think about it. You're on the roller coaster, you're in the ride, you're in the boat, you're doing this. And there's Pooh and Tigger, and they're bouncing around over there. Oh, pass the honey. Oh, don't you worry about it, blah, blah. You know, and you're bouncing around. Then you go around the corner. Now, here's another one. Another little vignette. So it's just little vignettes.
Right.
You know, it's not, there's not a big theme being carried on throughout.
Dumbo's Circus was a live action show that you did. What was the voice?
Very first one.
The very first show you ever did. What was the voice process for you then?
Well, they wanted to take it off from the movie Dumbo, which was, I think, like World War II, something around there. I wasn't in that one. But they wanted it kind of like a continuation of him joining the circus. Now he's in the circus. And the circus, of course, Dumbo Circus, and it was touring the land. And if you recall, his best buddy was a mouse, and it was a very small mouse because it was a mouse, Timothy. And so they said, well, we can't have, because it's going to be people in costume, and if it's little people, you can't have a 3.5-foot mouse, because that's a big mouse. So they just turned him into Lionel, and he was Lionel the Lion. And so he was Dumbo's pal, Lionel the Lion. How you doing there, Dumbo, old buddy, old pal? And I think it was Arnold Stang who did it originally in the movie, character actor. And I think he was also the first guy to do Top Cat, I think.
At what point were you recording for that? Did you come in post?
No. We had to record them first as well. And the heads were animatronic. They were automatic. The person in the costume didn't have to do anything. And they would just, oh, how are you? Oh, look out. Wah! you know, and the head would move, and the mouth would move, and the eyes would go up. There were people that had like little Game Boys or whatever you want to call, and they were, okay, I'm the mouth guy, I'm the eyebrow guy, you know, and it would go, and it was kind of cool. I enjoyed watching it. Big, gigantic green screen. Big, gigantic green screen.
Was it filmed in a set?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, down on Seward Street in North Hollywood.
If a show like that came back today and they wanted you to work on it, is there a concern for you that you don't sound the same as when you first did it? Are you okay with that?
No, I'm pretty good. I've got a bit of a cold right now. But other than that, everything's, you know, in fact, we kind of checked it years ago, a long time ago, just to make sure that everything is still the same. Because what if he's, you know? But I mean, I've never smoked one single cigarette in my life, or anything like that. And I'm not a big whiskey and cigars, you know that kind of voice that people get. That's not me, you know. So I've never had that problem.
Do you think all of that helps to the preservation of your voice?
Oh, it has to, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can tell a smoker when they're talking. Well, or an older smoker even. I mean, you don't even have to be that old, like 30, 40. And you get that little certain rasp in there. And I'd rather put it on than be stuck with it.
Do you do vocal exercises before the booth?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do scales. You know, and then you get it going, and then you're good to go.
At The Lion King, when you did Ed, the hyena, what did that script look like?
There was no script.
It was just, hey, Jim, we want you to do this. You got to laugh.
There was no script. And I have to credit my good friend Frank Welker, because he recommended me for that these many years ago. And Frank, he's the king of the world, so he does. If he feels like doing it, if he feels, he'll do it. If he doesn't, he'll say, get Cummings, or so, something like that. And they go, well, you were recommended by Frank Welker, and I go, oh boy, well, is that good or bad? And they go, oh, that's very good. And I go, okay, good. And they knew that Ed wasn't going to have lines. He was never going to shut up, in a sense, but he wasn't, hey, how you doing? It's me, Ed.
That's not him.
Couldn't do that. So what they finally decided to do, Rob Minkoff, I remember, we were sitting there trying to figure out what to do. Don Hahn was there, Roger Aller, the producer, director. And they said, well, we can't really write lines for him, can we? Because oh, you know what? He's just going to laugh. He's going to laugh. Okay. And, okay, here, Jim, write this down. Get a paper. Okay.
He told you to write this down?
Yeah. He goes, well, we were all writing it.
Yeah.
We're all just sitting around. Okay. Fear. Okay. Trepidation. Concern. Happiness. A lot of happiness. Crazy happiness. Fright. And all these emotions. And I just went down the line of, and it took like 20 minutes. And I'd give like 2 or 3 takes of fear, 2 or 3 takes of extreme hunger, 2 or 3 takes of scared to death, let me get out of here, running away 100 miles an hour. And then they just took that and inserted, okay, what's he doing here? Now he's a bad Ed. So he would be, and he was, because he was sneaking up on Simba, and me, Whoopi, and Cheech we were the bad guys.
Yeah,
we were bad. Actually, we were the henchmen. Scar was the lead bad guy.
And you ended up singing for Scar on that.
Yeah, I close out the song.
How does that work? Why do they switch out the characters?
Well, they didn't switch out the character. It was still Scar. It had to be Scar.
Sorry, switch out the voice actors.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, incredible actors don't feel like singing, and incredible singers aren't good at acting. And so maybe I can't do either, so they let me do both. So I don't know.
That's a good Honda line.
But I'm pretty good at staying in character, and I was able to portray it. And I just basically close out the ending of the song, I don't believe Jeremy ever says the words "be prepared," but you know, he does all the talking. You know, I know that your powers of retention are as wet as a warthog's backside, but think as you are, and on and on. And then by the time it gets a "be prepared," that's all me.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of fun. I've done that a few times. Did it for Anastasia. And Christopher Lloyd. In the dark of the night, ba 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 ba. There's a cologne for that smell. You know, and I was Christopher Lloyd. I guess I'm good at singing as bad guys. But I'm Winnie the Pooh too, so it evens out. I think I get a pass.
As your role as Dr. Robotnik,
Mm-hmm.
what do you remember from that? Because you did the whole series for that, right?
Yeah, well, I did the American version. There was a version from Canada, and I don't know who did that one, but I'm pretty sure they were both Jaleel White. He was my Sonic, you know, back in the day. And, oh, yes, Sniffly, get that hedgehog. And it was always a crescendo up till a yell. And, yeah, he was not Mr. Subtle. You know, it was kind of not necessarily one note, but it was a lot of fun. You know, like I say, bad guys are fun.
Was that the first Dr. Robotnik that was in the U.S.?
I think so.
So
yeah.
When you're doing that,
Yeah.
you get the script. Are you writing notes of how you want him to sound for when you go into the booth? And you're
Well, no, you establish that up front. You know, you've worked with the producer, director, you know, the voice director. And usually it would be Ginny McSwain or Andrea Romano, and you know, you hammer that out, and then you're there. That's where you go. You're this voice: mad, happy, sad, morose, ecstatically happy. You know, you just have to stay in that character for all the emotions.
When you did Garbage Pail Kids, another live action, are you on set for that?
I'm sorry to say we were.
You were?
No, no, not quite. It kind of felt like it. We ended up almost spent the night there. Gosh, that was one of the very, very, very first things I did. And who was I? Greaser Greg and Nat the Nerd. And it was interesting. I just did, God bless her, I just did my Aunt Grace's voice because she sounded like that to me when I was a little kid. And so that was Nat the Nerd. And Greaser Greg, you know, he was kind of a cross between Fonzie and Sylvester Stallone. So they wouldn't have had a very cute kid, and he wasn't very cute. But
With that being so early on in your career, did you have a good feeling that you'd be able to keep doing this at that point?
Well, I did. You know, it never occurred to me that I couldn't. So I was blissfully ignorant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been doing it for so long, and when I was a kid, I was in high school. I was in speech, big shock, and I was always in plays, you know. And I think that, and I've told this to people. They say, well, what kind of advice? What kind of advice? Well, the way I did it, you know, I mean, I could have been 12 years old, and I didn't want to be the young prince, you know, which is what I probably looked like. You know, I wanted to be the troll who lived under the bridge. Or I wanted to be the goat who did this or that, you know. And it just seemed like it was more fun. It was that there was no great intellectual decision behind it. It's just the troll had more fun than the prince. He was, oh no, father, what shall we do? Whereas the troll was going, I'm going to get that prince and I'm going to, you know. And so, you know, that was my path.
Do you have a favorite character you've ever done?
Well, I get that a lot, and yes, but it's just more than one. It's Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Darkwing Duck is way, way up there, Ray from Princess and the Frog, and Hondo Ohnaka, my buddy Hondo. He's way up there because people say, well, if you had to pick one character, and I said, well, then I can't, because you know they're very diverse, they're very different. That's for sure. And, you know, Taz is in there, too. The anti-Pooh. And so, yeah.
Taz is my favorite. Did you do Space Jam?
The second one.
With LeBron.
Yeah, the first one, he didn't have any lines. He went by, and I think they just used an old loop. Taz went spinning through a scene, and he went, "Ugh," and then he kept on going. And that was it. And everybody goes, "You sure didn't have many lines?" And I go, "I don't even think it was me. It could have been anybody walking down the street with indigestion." That's what it sounded like. I mean, that was it. But the second one, yes. Yeah, I helped out LeBron.
You were his hoop man, hype man.
Yeah. I said, no, that's not how you play basketball. No, I didn't do it.
Did you ever do Six Flags rides for Taz?
Gosh. It rings a bell. I think it was a long time ago.
How do you think 2D animation, puppetry, and live action films differ in the way in which you voice act?
Oh, well, I don't think it affects the actors. It's just that's all the visual. I just saw a special about Jim Henson and the Muppets and everything, and I was a big fan of them. I just thought it was genius.
Did you ever get to work with him?
No, sadly. I wish that would have been great, but no. I just thought that here's a guy who came along and created his own niche, his own demand for his own vision, and it just paid off, and the whole world's a little better because of it, I think.
Yeah.
It's very sweet, very nice.
Are there any other worlds that you wish you could have been a part of?
Oh, gosh. Anything else I wish I could have been a part of? Not really. Not really. Excuse me, because that would be tantamount to, envy or jealousy, and I'm okay. I've done just about everything I felt like doing. So I felt like being here, and here we are. So
we did it.
That's right.
What do you think is the most common misconception that people have about voice actors?
Oh, well, that I'm not going to say that they think that anybody can do it, but it's in that neck of the woods. It's, a lot of people say, well, you don't even have to memorize your lines. And I go, well, if anybody can do it, apparently it's very profitable. Do it. It's just one of those conceits, I think, that's out there.
Yeah.
And then other people are very more realistic about it. I couldn't do that with a gun to my head, and I go, well, that's okay. No one's going to put a gun to your head. It's just fine.
I mean, hearing you do Hondo, I'm scared to even try to do it.
Oh, well, go ahead. Well, I can tell you this. This is one little trick that I've revealed before, but like I said before, there was a character that was basically my Aunt Grace. And that's just the way that I heard her. She probably doesn't sound a thing like that, God rest her soul, but didn't. But, in my head, that's where I heard her. And if you do a perfect impression of a very famous person that everybody knows, good. You never know. You may get a use for that someday. And if you do a terrible impression of someone that everybody knows, they don't even know who you're doing, that's a new character. Got a new character, free new character. And if you, excuse me, if you put two characters together, which is what I did for Hondo, and Hondo Onaka, you come down to Onaka Transport Solutions. We have all of your best interests in mind, mostly mine, but you'll be in there, and that is an amalgamation of Charles Bronson in my head and Yul Brynner from The King and I, and of course Charles Bronson, the mechanic, and you put the two of them together, and then you get Hondo Onaka. So that's a little, tell no one of this. It's a big, deep Hollywood secret.
Is it that easy to go from all these different characters, from Hondo to Darkwing to Cat?
Yeah, except when you have a cold. But yeah, it kind of is. They're all just sitting right inside the forehead. Wow. It's probably some form of it's syndrome. There's probably something wrong with me somewhere along the line, but it's too late.
Were you doing these voices as a kid?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I've said this before. I don't want to bore anybody, but I remember sitting there with my dad watching the Jack Benny show. And Jack Benny had one of his extras, one of the people, it was a variety show, was Mel Blanc, the original Bugs Bunny and Daffy and Taz and just on, Sylvester. And my dad goes, "You see this bastard?" And I go, "Oh, yeah." And he goes, "That's the fella. His name's Mel Blanc. And he does that Taz and that Bugs Bunny and the Daffy Duck and on. He's does all those voices." and I thought to myself, well, he doesn't have to stand in the corner for being weird and interrupting everybody at dinner, does he? Well, you know what? They're paying him and he's on TV. I'll do that. When I get big. And so I did. And it's interesting. And I think it's a bit of a blessing because you can, anything that you can set your sights on at the age of 5 and pull it off, that's pretty good because it eliminates a lot of guesswork. And I was in speech class. I'll tell this one. I was in speech class, and they have I think it was the National Forensic League, NFL, not that one, the other one. And I would go to speech tournaments, and I would do individual events and humorous interpretation. Big shock, and I just cleaned up. I just got nothing but ones and ones and ones, and so I thought, okay, I'm definitely onto something here. I will be doing this, because, you test it out and people respond and this and that and got a lot of trophies. So I knew I was on the right path.
With that determination, was it hard to break in?
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but yes. In fact, the great Gordon Hunt, he of Hanna-Barbera fame, voice director, and I've worked for him 1,000 times. Great guy. Helen Hunt's dad, the great actress. He wrote a book, and it was called How to Break into Show Business. And you're reading this chapter, looking through here, looking through there, and then you get to the 5th chapter, and it said how to become a voiceover artist, and it said almost verbatim, don't even bother trying. Period. This is a situation that is held in place. It is completely dominated by 5 or 6 people, maybe 10, and they all live in Hollywood, California, and you don't. So don't even waste your time. It's locked up. It's sewn up. The same people are working over and over again, and they will always be that way. So, don't forget to park cars. Learn that. Don't forget your valet license. I'm just glad I didn't read that. I would have discouraged me because I truly, I knock on wood. I had an audition, and I didn't even have an agent. I made a demo tape. I used to work in a video depot in Anaheim Hills, and my buddy Chris Potter was a sound engineer, so we stuck around after work a couple of days and made a demo tape.
What kind of voices were those?
I had a little cassette. Well, I did Robert Stack from The Untouchables. Rico Youngblood. No, I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. He was America's Most Wanted. That guy. And I did him. I went down the line of just doing various characters. And I made that demo, shopped it around, and I gave it to a fellow named Sal Romeo, who had just made a low-budget horror movie, and he was the only guy I knew in show business, except for Bob Starr, the voice of the Angels baseball team, and so I gave him. He said, "Well, I'm not doing anything with this, but sure, I'll take your tape." And and then Frank Brandt and Caroline Hay were the people who were producing Dumbo's Circus. Brand new. It was for this brand new thing called cable TV, and a Disney Channel, and they were casting a show, and apparently he got my demo tape over to Frank Brandt, and he goes, "Well, kid, you're not too terrible. You want to come up here and audition?" I said, "Sure." I had to wait till my day off on Thursday, and I went up and drove up to Hollywood, and went in and auditioned for Lionel and a couple of other characters, QT, which was the orangutan. But I ended up getting Lionel, and he was in every single show, and so it was great. I mean, I think I was making like $500 a week for 50 hours, and then I ended up making $850 a week for 4.
Wow.
And I went, okay, I'm gonna do this, And by the time, but we had 65 episodes, so it was spread out, and it gave me a chance to get my demo tape over to an agency, and then I wound up at Sandy Schnarr, and one job led to another, and it's funny because I got my first job I auditioned for, thank you Lord, and the second job I did was for a Mattel's. It was a haunted house. And it was a haunted house. Beware of hitchhiking strangers. That kind of thing. And I got that job, and they used the audition. Because I called up, and I go, so I got the job. Oh, that's great. I go, so when did we record? She goes, you already did. And I go, no, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Remember the audition? And I go, yeah, they're using that. And I go, oh, God.
They took your audition.
Took it it was only for a toy fair. But I thought, oh, I died and went to heaven. You mean the audition? They're using the audition. Oh, and of course, that's the only time that's ever happened in my life. That was the first time I tried. It worked that time. They go, okay, that's it. He's got to work. We got to make this clown work harder than that. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting little footnote, though.
It's funny how that sticks with you in the beginning. You're like, oh, this is going to happen all the time.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Okay. Except never once again.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it happens all the time.
So did you quit your job in Anaheim Hills and move up here?
Yeah, I just quit the job and drove back and forth to Hollywood instead.
How often was that? Was that once a week?
A couple times a week. Yeah, we did like 2 shows in one day maybe. And, that took just about a year. And like I said, by the end of that, I had an agent and I was doing regular things. And I was a Hallmark Channel guy for about 13 years. Coming up next on Hallmark Channel, and other critters. And then, the rest is history, I guess.
Do you have a favorite side quest that you've done, like the Hallmark Channel, WB?
Well, the WB was a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of work with a lot of great guys and, gals. And that was a lot of fun. Coming up next on Kids WB. That was me. And, yeah, because, I've done a lot of normal things, just announcer stuff.
Yeah.
And that's fun, too. It pays the bills.
What does the script look like for video games?
Ugh. Well, video games, they're really cool, and they come out really well. But I have to, gosh, I hate to say this, but they're a little boring.
In terms of your audition?
The recording process, because, you're sitting there and you're okay, now you're falling down the steps. Okay. Okay, now you're falling down 2 flights of steps. Now you're falling down now you're falling from the 3rd moon of Jupiter. Wait, what? And you're on fire. Oh, okay. So you kind of shred the pipes, and it's I'm not crazy about them unless they have money. Then I'm crazy about them.
Because you did Grand Theft Auto also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's funny because I remember this is years ago. My nephew Boris calls me up and goes, Uncle Jim. Yeah. Did I just buy an Uzi off of you in a gas station? I said, what? Did I feel like I just went up and overpaid you for an Uzi, and you were in a gas station, but you were selling illegal firearms to the public and other bad guys like me. And I go, oh, you must be playing Grand Theft Auto. He goes, yeah, that's me. Yeah. And I go, yeah, that's me. Yeah. Be careful. Those things are, they're cheaply made. Could explode in your hand. Watch out. Don't say I didn't warn you. Yeah. But it's just, only in this crazy career where you get phone calls like that.
What was the voicing like for World of Warcraft?
Oh, World of Warcraft. Well, let's see. Lore Walker Cho was my guy. And, they wanted him to sound vaguely Asian. And it was interesting. I just went and I did it 100 years ago. And then just recently we went back and we updated it. So am I allowed to say that? I hope so. But yeah, so stay tuned.
Like there was a new package, or what do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, new plots, new mysteries,
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And those, they have a shelf life, don't they?
They do.
Because, if you haven't played it yet, it's brand new. It could be 20 years old, but if you haven't played it, brand new.
Who do you have coming up on your podcast that you're excited about?
Oh, gosh. Well, some of the people I'm excited about, I'm not 100% sure of. But I've had great people on there. Ron Perlman, who is just an amazing actor. And I would love to get that Hamill guy. He was in what was it? Mark Star something. He was. Anyway, that would be nice. So if you could put in a word.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Yeah. But, and I've had some of my good friends like Rob Paulson, Maurice LaMarche,
I love the Tara Strong and Richard Horvitz.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. Well, Tara's awesome. And Richard, he's like a tempest in a teacup. He's ready to rock. I love that guy.
Would you see those people when you're going in and out of Nickelodeon studios?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did. Like CATDOG, Tom and I did all the CATDOGs together. And Carlos Ellis Rocky was there, and Maria Bamford. Oh, gosh, let's see. I think Penn Jillette did a couple of them.
Oh, really?
Penn Jillette, yeah, that was kind of fun. Have a few cameos from people here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, I love it.
Jim, this is such an honor.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. Go check out Jim's podcast. It'll be linked down below. Tuned In with Jim Cummings.
What he said. I will plant you now and dig you later. Tuned In, TOONDIN with Jim Cummings and producer Chris. See you soon.
Lightweights. Ow. That was so good. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, good.